Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I wanted to come to you today with a tag, and this is going to be the end of the year book tag for 2021. I know a lot of you have already done this. You did this a lot of you did it the right before Thanksgiving, and I just wasn't ready to make a commitment on which way I was going to go with my books to end the year. I wasn't sure exactly how many I was going to get finished up, and so anyway, here we are. What are we, almost a week into December, and I thought I probably ought to, get this out and get it done. And so here we are. So again, this is the end of the year book tag, and I'm not gonna put a bunch of links. I watched a ton of these. So I mean, there's just been a lot of people have done it. So I know most of you have probably watched them as well. So question number one. Are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? All right, so I have a whole stack of books that I have, or not a whole stack, but a handful of books that I have started that I am working on. And just for the record, this first question really goes with also the fourth question in this tag, so they're going to kind of double up on answers. But one of the books, when I originally wrote down the questions and put the answers down, one of the books that I had started that I wanted to get finished was The Battle of Gettysburg by Frank Haskell. This is a memoir of the battle, the three-day battle that took place in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and it is edited by Bruce Catton, and I actually finished this yesterday morning, and so this probably shouldn't be on the list because it asks for which ones you need to get finished. But anyway, I got it finished. It was on my original answers, so I just thought I would throw that out there. But this was an excellent book. I'm going to actually do a book chat on this one. There are a couple places that run a little bit slow, but for the majority of this, his descriptions of the battle itself, the soldiers and what they were experiencing, oh my goodness, it really brings the Battle of Gettysburg to life. Wonderful read, pick that up. So that was originally on my list of books to finish. No longer on there because I got it done yesterday. But here are some books that I have recently started that I want to get finished in December, and I am pretty sure I can get that done. So here we are in Christmas time. Again, this book is going to double up into another answer, but I always like to try to find a Christmas book. I've been doing that the last couple years. And God Rest You Merry Soldiers, a true Civil War Christmas story by James McIver. And so I got that started. I'm not very far in. What am I? 14 pages in, so I'm not real far. But this will be a really quick read. As you can see, it's really short. I picked that up from the library a couple days ago when we took my daughter. We wanted to get her some library books, and so while I was there, I was looking in the nonfiction section, and that one kind of stood out to me, and I thought that would be a good Christmas read. So I want to get through that, and basically the story is talking about the soldiers at Christmas time so far, anyway, and it's over the years how Christmas time changed from 1860 all the way through 1865. I haven't got to the 1865 part, but it just talks about how at Christmas time they had lots at the, around 1860, had lots to celebrate, where they were with family, had food, et cetera, et cetera. And then as time goes on, as they head into 1861, 62, 63, it talks about how the supplies diminished. Some people would get stuff sent in the mail, but as the years went on, the amount of stuff they got in the mail got smaller and smaller, and so they had to go and liberate people of their stuff so they would have stuff. And so anyway, it's pretty interesting so far. Another one that I checked out at my local library, so that was from a town 20 miles away. This one is from our local library, but this is Brian Kilmeade's newest book, The President and the Freedom Fighter. Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, and their battle to save America's soul. And this just came out this year, and I'm not real far into this one, just got it going. It'll be a really quick read. I've got the first chapter read, so I'm, 11 pages in. It's not very far. But he is just basically right at the moment giving background into Lincoln and Douglas so that the average reader who's not familiar with the whole story, who might not know what's going on, that he's given that background knowledge before he gets into the fight to end slavery. Brian Kilmeade, I think he does a pretty good job of taking just different snippets, very, very interesting snippets in history, and making it so that the average reader can read and enjoy it. I think he's a pretty decent writer. It is not a it's not a scholarly book by any means, but at the same token, it's I think sticking to the facts. I don't think he's straight off the trail, but if you look at his sources in the back, it is not very extensive. And so just to give you an idea, the notes in the back, sources and stuff, it runs from page 261 to 273. So it's 12 pages on a subject that is pretty big subject. I mean, it's pretty big when you talk about one or the other, but when you combine the two, well, as I said, it's not a piece of scholarly work, but it is good. It is a good read, and I like it because it's good for my middle schoolers. It brings a big subject, and he takes big subjects and he puts it into a story they can understand. And so I can, for my upper readers, I can recommend that book. So the other book that I really want to get finished, and I think I can do it if I'm reading, a chapter every day or so, or every day and a half, I think is the average. And I'm about halfway through the book. I'm doing a buddy read with Patrice Jones and Lukash and Peg over at the History Shelf. We're all doing a buddy read on Frederick Douglass, Prophet of Freedom by David Blight. And as it says, this was the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. It is an awesome book. He's doing a wonderful, wonderful job of presenting Frederick Douglass's case. And as I said, I'm about halfway through, so I've got 380 pages or so to go. I think it was 32, 33 chapters, something like that long. And I am about ready to start. Let me see here. Hang on. There we go. It is 31 chapters, and then there's an epilogue. So basically 32 chapters altogether. And I am about ready to start chapter 19. I finally caught up in our buddy read. Everybody else was ahead of me because when I got COVID last month, I lost an entire week of reading, and so it really kind of threw me behind. But I have caught back up, and I'm going to start getting into our Voxer chat again because I've kind of just fell silent just because of I was playing catch up, and I got to leave a message. But anyway, I'm rambling. That is a book that I would really like to get finished this month. Even if I'm ahead of everybody else, I can always have my notes, and then when I leave, kind of pace it. And if they're doing chapter 26 and I'm already done, I can just go back to my chapter 26 notes. I think that's probably what I'll do. But anyway, I wanted to get that done before Christmas. So number 2, do you have an autumnal, oh my gosh, I can't say it, a fall book to transition to in the end of the year? Now, it's not necessarily a fall book, but it's Christmas. So as I said just a second ago, I am reading this story on Civil War Christmas. That's going to be one of my Christmas reads. That's my nonfiction one. And then at the same time, I picked up my favorite fiction book for the time period, and that's Skipping Christmas, a wonderful little Christmas story by John Grisham about 2 parents and their oldest daughter goes out into the real world, and they usually spend an astronomical amount of money on just different stuff at Christmas, from donations to people to the gifts to the tree to lighting up the house and all kinds of stuff that comes around Christmas. But they decide to skip all of that and take the money they save and go on a oh goodness, a cruise. They're going to go on a cruise to one of the islands in the Caribbean, and so that all is great. They make a lot of enemies along the way. It's quite funny because everybody always expects them to do like their big Christmas party and stuff like that. But anyway, it's a really fun book for Christmas time. It makes me laugh and makes me feel good. And the daughter ends up coming home at the end, and so the whole point of the book is they actually have to go back and do Christmas, except for they are on an extreme deadline. They have like one day to get everything done like their daughter would expect. And so anyway, fun book, very quick read. This is an afternoon, maybe 2 afternoons, depending on how much time you have to sit down. It's only 177 pages, so very quick read. I'd recommend it to everybody. It's a good one. A lot of fun. So that would be my transition books. Number 3, is there a new release you are still waiting for? Yes, I have been waiting for Target or Walmart to bring this book out, and it was H.W. Brands' Our First Civil War, Patriots and Loyalists in the American Revolution. I have been waiting for that book. I was going to actually buy it at full price, and nobody has brought it out on their shelves, at least in our local area, maybe somewhere else. And I don't know, maybe this book, it was supposed to come out in November. Maybe it got, the publishing date got backed up. I don't know. If you know BookTube, please let me know, because it's been frustrating me quite a bit because I want to read that. H.W. Brands is one of my favorite authors. So I have been waiting on that to come out. Number 4, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? Again, so this is that question that sounds an awful lot like number 1, except for it's asking for 3 titles. So I'm just going to flash them real quick. I want to read that Brian Kilmeade book. I want to read David Blight's book. I want to read, and it asks for 3, but I'm going to give you 4. I want to read Skipping Christmas, and I want to read The Civil War Christmas. Now, with those books, I am guessing I'll have them done before Christmas, so I'll have like a week at the end of December where I'm just going to have fun and read whatever feels good at that moment. Along with, I have another buddy read I'm starting, so I guess I'll be reading that also. But it'll probably be mood reading that last week, because I'm transitioning and going back to school for the last 2 weeks of the semester, and of course start the second semester. But I'll probably do mood reading after that. But those are the books I really want to get done. Number 5, is there a book you think that could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Okay, so I don't know about shock, but I think Frederick Douglass could end up right up at the top of my favorite books of the year. That one definitely could. What David Blight does with Douglass and just showing his various parts of his personality, and as he was coming into his own as a writer, as a speaker, as just a leader for African Americans, during that Civil War period. That's where I'm at right now. But he continues that on into later in the century. But David Blight just does an awesome job of showing the many sides of Douglass, and I've really enjoyed that. And I think that could end up. But it's not a surprise, really, because I knew it was going to be a good book. But that could be. And then, as I said, this Brian Kilmeade, not for scholarly purposes, but for recommends to middle school readers. I think this could become one of my favorite books to recommend to kids, to bring that subject to life for them. Because I just think Brian Kilmeade does a pretty good job of bringing this into telling a story where the mass public can understand it. Somebody who's not familiar with the slavery story. So those would be my choices for that. And then the last question in this tag, have you already started making reading plans for the next year? Yes, I have. So if I don't finish Frederick Douglass by the end of the year, that will continue. That buddy read will continue. I think I can get it done, though, if I really buckle down. I think I can get that done. But here are my plans. Here are my plans for this next year so far. These are the big books that I really want to get done. And this was actually on this year's list too, but I'm going to make more of a point of getting to it. But it's Edmund Morris's trilogy, his biography trilogy of Theodore Roosevelt. And I know many of you have told me I need to read that. I need to get into that. And I love reading about Roosevelt. He was just an interesting guy. He's one of my favorite historical characters in American history. But I'm going to start that trilogy, The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt. So this is the copy I've got. It's a little bit beat up. It's an old copy. It'll be one that someday, if I find a better one, I'll replace it. That's one. This year I was supposed to get to this, and I put it off for whatever reason. What I like to do is I like to start these series. So like, here's the Lincoln series. I read this one 2 years ago. I meant to read this book, Wrestling with His Angel. I meant to read this year, and I was going to read this one next year, and then hopefully that next volume was going to be out. But since I didn't get to it this year, I'm going to make a point to get into Sidney Blumenthal's volume 2 of The Political Life of Abraham Lincoln, Wrestling with His Angel. And this will cover one of my favorite time periods to learn about, which is 1849 to 1856. Matter of fact, these next two books are going to be about my favorite, the antebellum period. And so I'm real excited to read these. And I don't know, if I really enjoy this book, I might just run right back into the next one and finish both of them this year, and or next year, and that'll catch me up to where I wanted to be anyway. But his first volume was pretty good. Probably not my favorite Lincoln book that I've ever read, but definitely a good read. And I'm hoping that these next two, again, dealing with that antebellum period, the 1850s there, real excited to read that. Now, the next book here of stuff I want to get done next year is Alan Gelzo's recent biography that he came out with on Robert E. Lee, A Life. And I'm going to be buddy reading this, and we hope to start this month. We backed our date up a week. It might end up getting backed up one more week. I don't know. We're just kind of playing it by ear. Peg and I at the History Shelf, we're kind of just playing it by ear, and if we are ready to get it started, we'll get it started. If not, we can just kind of back it up a little bit. Not a problem. Because my next buddy read after that is with Patrice Jones, and it's going to be The Hemmingses of Monticello, An American Family by Annette Gordon Reed. And I'm super excited to read this. And I can't remember, honestly, if we said we were going to start midway through January or into February. I can't remember, but I'm sure we'll talk before the end, or before that time comes up. But that's my next buddy read. So like I said, if we back up Robert E. Lee a little bit, that's all right, because this one is a little bit into 2022. So I'm real excited about that. That's going to be dealing with the Hemings family, obviously, and Thomas Jefferson's relationship with them and how that all played out in history. Very, very, it's a subject that can be very, very touchy, definitely. But we can no longer argue the case. Science has proven that Thomas Jefferson did have a relationship with Sally Hemings. And so it's going to be interesting how Annette Gordon Reed presents this. I really like her as an author. I've listened to her. Okay, so I haven't read any of her books, so maybe I should back up. I've read a couple articles of hers, and I like how she does that. I've listened to her talks, and I enjoy how she presents information. So I'm hoping I'm going to enjoy this. I'm pretty sure I will. She's a pretty good historian. And then the other book that is probably a guarantee for this next year, I do not know when, but if you remember in a recent book haul, or no, maybe it was a weekly read, I don't know, but I picked this book up at the World War I Museum. It's 1914, or Catastrophe, 1914, Europe Goes to War by Max Hastings. And Peg and I decided we wanted to buddy read this one as well. And so I'm really excited about that. I look forward to that. I have no idea when we're going to do it, but it'll be sometime next year. And it's going to change up our, we're usually doing buddy reads about, the issues of slavery or the Civil War, that kind of stuff. So this will be something that's a little bit different topic, but still of interest to both of us. So real excited about that. So, well, BookTube, I have rambled on long enough. This is the end of the year book tag for 2021. It's one of those tags you can come back to at the end of every year, and it always works out. I wasn't tagged by anybody in particular, and honestly, I'll have to go back, and I think I have it wrote down somewhere who originated the tag, and I'll put that down in the description box. I'm not going to put anybody else's reading information because there's just been so many of them, but I'll put the original down in the description box. So anyway, BookTube, until next time, I thank you for watching. I hope everyone's having a great day. Yeah, so happy reading.